Coming to you live from downtown Duluth, Minnesota. It's the Duluth Conservative Show. Dave and I will be running down some topics that impact you and that you may not have heard about. Welcome, Dave.
Howdy.
How's it going today?
Getting a little adjustment there, but now I'm good.
You look like you were trying to wear a tie, but you just don't have it.
No, my head's too big for a tie, so just got a fat head.
Your head's too big for I'm trying to process that, but we're going to go on.
Yeah.
Let me do a quick rundown of what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Hermantown official calls Duluth councilor to task her for comments. I saw this, and we're going to talk about that. That was an interesting one. We're going to talk about the ballot, who's on the ballot, a couple Tim Walz stories, acting like a king, finally ordering an audit. So I will give a good Tim Walz story update. So it's not all negative, Dave.
Yeah.
Not that I hate the guy. I will give him credit where it's due. So we'll talk about that. Minnesota news, we're going to talk about Keith Ellison. We're going to talk about a St. Paul guy putting out a contract on Pam Bondi. Minneapolis, mayor candidate wanting to arrest federal agents who wear masks. Let's see. Bill Gates does an about-face on climate disaster. Let's see. No Kings protests largely comprised of people of one demographic. We'll talk about that. Let's see. International news. People being evicted from their homes, and the authority on scientists on climate change, and why we will die out if we don't do mixed breeding. So health and fitness. I also did the Bill Gates because I like that story so much. I'm going to do it twice.
Yeah.
Maybe we won't do that. And we have our word of the day, so we'll go through that too for your educational purposes. Let's get this party started. What do you think, Dave?
Sounds good. There's enough to go over today.
Yeah, I think there's 8 pages today. I want to talk about an opening comment, though. It's something I found interesting, and I want to see your reaction to it. I don't know if you've thought about this or we talked about this. People that I've talked to in the past, and for 4 years, we lived through the Biden administration. So the people that don't like Trump, don't like Donald Trump, don't like this administration, and are just seething about it or are just unhappy about it, trust me, we know what you're going through, because that was 4 years under Biden and what he did in his administration. But I noticed now that, they had all the end of the world scenarios coming up for when Trump took over. He was going to go after his enemies. He was going to put them all in jail. He was going to kill people. He was going to destroy the economy, get us in World War III, all that stuff. What we said at that time was, well, it didn't happen the first time he was in office. What
Right.
makes you think it's going to happen now? But they acted like he had never had a track record in office. But now it's not coming true. In fact, we've got all these peace deals coming out. Trump is doing very good. The economy is doing very well. He's not putting people in jail. He is actually having people being investigated for crimes that seems to have happened during his administration. The weaponization people say would be happening under his administration is nothing compared to what the actual weaponization was during the Biden administration. He's going after people that did corrupt things. Biden went after people who were Republicans, and that's coming out more and more. So what I've noticed is the people that were very adamant about telling me how bad Trump was for 4 years are having, and this isn't just one person, this is a few people I know. Now they're like, I just don't listen to the news anymore. I don't want to, I can't watch it anymore. I just want to be out of politics. It's just not fun anymore for me to watch it. So instead of admitting that you were wrong and realizing the fact and maybe getting on board, they just choose to put their head in the sand, close their eyes, and act like it doesn't happen. And have you noticed that too, Dave, or is it just the people I interact with?
No, I've seen it. I've seen it all over the place, and actually, there's a fake word that they brought up or that someone made up for it. It's called progressivophobia, and it's a fake word, but it basically means liberals or progressives that won't admit to the fact that things are getting better. Yeah. And that's basically it. They're still protesting, you can still see your daily protests up at Stauber's office up in Hermantown. You see them on Superior Street. You know, the No Kings protests, which made 0 sense. That's why, nobody counter protested. So this is
Right.
I mean, if it's so common that someone created a word for it, then it doesn't actually exist. So
Yeah, it's interesting just to see the kind of just shut down. I don't want to listen to it until I get enraged by something. They're just waiting. I think they're just waiting for you to get that thing that's going to come up. Something will happen. Obviously, it always does, and they'll be able to focus. They've been trying to focus on it. The No King protest, that was what the reason was for it. They want to just try to focus that anger. Now they're going to, November 6th, I think they're going to planning on having some kind of big protest in Washington. They're talking about sending people there to presumably get Trump out of office. I don't know how that's going to work. If they're lucky, they won't be treated like the January 6th protesters were, because they have a precedence for what they do to people that go into Capitol buildings or try to stop processes. It means that you get to go to jail for an indefinite number of months or years with no trial.
Yep.
And all you got to hope for is that a Democrat's going to get elected to pardon you, because that's what had to happen to these conservatives, that when you say protested or damaged property, they may have just walked through the place or walked in the entrance, and that was it.
Yeah, trespassing.
I just find it interesting that there's as soon as you get shown facts that are wrong, that you don't agree with, you just shut down and don't listen to them. That's the defense mechanism for it, as opposed to doing some introspection and saying, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this stuff isn't going to happen. When you see the Democrats lying to your face about what's happening too, it's sooner or later you would think people would get that idea that this is not normal. This is a factual lie that they're saying, and step back from it and say, why? What else is a lie? What else is going on that I should be paying attention to? Right. That's where you start to realize, when you look around, who's been lying to you and who hasn't, and make your decisions better. So that was my observation. I thought I'd bring it up first.
Yeah, I mean, even CBS News, they hired a new female head editor, basically, and her goal is to present both sides.
Which is what you want from in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, she's in a clean house until she gets people in there that will do a story, present both sides, and that's it. No editorial, just here's what this here's what this person thinks, here's what this person thinks, and that's it. That's all we want. That's the way CNN started.
Yes.
24 hours a day, but we don't get that anymore. So
right. It's like when I watched a speech or something, and I was watching the Charlie Kirk ceremony for his funeral.
Yeah.
We found the channel, the Turning Point channel, and all it did was show the audio of what was happening on stage. So they'd show the person walking on stage, and then they'd show if there was a band playing in between or something. That's what it was. There was no person talking over it. That's what I enjoy. I don't need a commentator from whatever news channel it is, be it CBS, NBC, Fox, whatever. I don't need to know their opinion about it. I'd just like to watch the event. Same with when I'm watching speeches. I don't need them to tell me what I'm hearing. Let me listen to it and decide for myself.
Yeah, we don't need them to explain something that's already obvious. So
you would think. The other thing I'd like to mention is I've noticed something on YouTube, and we were discussing it before. I'm noticing that I'm losing views on my videos. So one day I came in and I lost 25% of the views on my video channel. I don't know why that is. I don't know if this is how they mold you into say the right things or not say certain words, but I'm not going to do that, because this isn't my line of work. This isn't why we're doing this channel. We're going to speak what we think. And if that means that we get chopped down on viewership or likes or whatever, so be it. That doesn't affect us. So just so you know, if you're watching this, we don't care.
Yeah. I know it's going to really hurt our pocketbook, because we're going to lose a lot of money from not making any money to not making any money.
Right.
So.
Right. Right. Yes. They're going to cut our profits in half for this channel.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the news. We'll start with the Duluth news. In the city council meeting that just happened, which we should talk about the Lester Park stuff too. But
Yeah.
a guy running Hermantown, the economic developer, came to the mic for the open mic forum and was bringing to task, what's her name? Wendy Durwatcher,
Yep.
who had said in a tweet, right? This is a tweet that she wrote or some sort of message. Quote, and I'll quote this, and this is what I think I saw, but I'll quote this. If I'm wrong, I will retract it. But this is the quote. I think it's important right now for at least one Duluth official to call out the asinine actions of Chad Ranchetti right now. He screwed Duluth over with the incline fraud. Now he's screwing over Hermantown. What's next? That is some spicy commentary from a Duluth councilor.
Yeah. Well, this guy, he used to work for Duluth, and he was the head guy to get the the hotel built at, or the resort or whatever was supposed to be built at the old Duluth Central site.
Yeah. And how's that going?
Yeah.
I don't disagree with what she said. I find it amazing one of them said it. And the funny thing is, she couldn't say this at a Duluth City Council meeting because they have a code of conduct. You can't say disparaging things like this. But hats off to her for saying it. She better be ready to back that up, because that could be an actionable thing that she just said. I'm not sure. But I think she doubled down on it after the meeting, if I'm not right.
Yeah, she came out after and said, yeah, I said it, and I stand behind it. And
I appreciate that.
And there's nothing you can do, because it's a fact. It's not an opinion. So she was very, she stood up for herself, which is, if you're going to say something like that, those are the consequences. You better say it. Yeah. And this guy, this Chad Ranchetti, he wanted the city council to censure her. Yeah. So that's what I found, the process for censure. But it was really strange, because there's no guidelines for what censure means. Right.
And, a censure really, as far as I understand, doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's a harsh letter in your permanent record.
Yeah, in your permanent record. Right. Yeah. You did bad. Think about that. You've been censured.
Because a censure can't remove her from office.
I guess it's just a public humiliation or a public dismissal. It's like you said, it's basically all the people coming together and saying, bad, we don't like it. Yeah. I mean, it's better than nothing. I mean, I don't know what else he can do about it. I believe they talked to the president of the city council, and she went, and just walked away. I mean, asked her about it. She's like, what's that over there? I'm going to go over there. So,
well, so what if they censure her?
Yeah, nothing comes of it.
Yeah.
Now, it'd be interesting if he sues her for libel. I don't know, or slander, because she wrote it, so it's libel. So I don't know. But
well, he so far he hasn't got down that road, so he must not be that bad, or it must be true, or there might be some.
Or he hasn't done it yet. Maybe the censure was his first thing, and if they didn't do that, maybe he'll go down. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I thought it was childish, the whole thing.
But the cojones on her to just like, nah, I said it. What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
I love it. And I'm not saying she's wrong either. That incline thing was a hot mess. Everybody involved with it that approved it, they should be ashamed of themselves. And it's just like a bunch of other stuff that they vote on that it's just ridiculous. I don't know how it gets through. They do it anyway.
Yeah, and I did find another article on the guy who started the process. He has another property on London Road or something, and he did lose that to the bank.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so nobody did any due diligence on this guy to see if he was legitimate, had the money or investors to back him. So
no. So after listening to the Lester Park Golf Course, which we'll talk about in a second, After
Yep.
listening to that proposal and the backing that guy had, and the planning and all the money and the experience he had, they didn't even listen to him. But they went ahead and approved this guy's plan. And this
Right.
guy's plan was like, they were even saying in the beginning, well, I don't think it's going to work, but it won't cost us any money.
Yeah.
Well, that's just not a good way to approach business.
No. I keep seeing them trying to sell the lesser parkland. So maybe I was going to ask you if you
so
knew
they've
something
taken
more
another
about it.
step to get through the planning, through the city council, to maybe hopefully sell this land off. Now, the problem is I'm not seeing the plan that's associated to it. They're just getting through the steps. Now, that either means that I think Roger is running this whole thing in the background, to be honest, the mayor. I think he's running it and he's trying to get that plan through, I believe. Now,
Okay.
but I'm not seeing that plan associated with this sale. So I don't know if that's the case, or they're just going to try to build houses on it. Now, I know Tim Meyer is involved with it, and Tim is a local guy in Duluth. He's been spearheading this thing, and he wants to keep golf in Duluth. He would like to keep it going, and he's talked about this, so he might know what's going on in the background. What their plan was to have a hotel, housing, restaurants, like top-level restaurants. Think of Aspen, or
Yep.
when you're out skiing. So it'd be a big community. It would be all levels of housing around a golf course, and they would control the golf course. And the only thing they're asking for the city was sell us the land, get us access some sidewalks to us, which is no big deal. And then they needed potable water, which they would take care of everything else. That was it. That's all they were asking for. And it was the sale of the land that was the big deal. Now it looks like it's getting through those humps now. That's good, as long as this plan is associated to it. Because the thing I disagree with just about everybody that says thing around here, is we desperately need a ton of housing in this city. Well, this city can't handle what it's got today.
Right.
So I'm really apprehensive about just blasting more housing over in the East End and Lakeside, where that's all they have is housing over there. They don't have any amenities over there. They don't have, they have a couple gas stations, a couple of businesses, but it's nothing like it is over on the other side, or in Central and West.
Correct. Yeah.
But I don't just want to blast up houses without some kind of restaurants, and I would love to keep the golf course too. I really would. I used to work there. I love that golf course. It is a beautiful golf course. Once you lose it, you'll never get it back.
Right.
And I think it's a viable thing. It wasn't viable when the city ran it because they wouldn't allow them to raise the prices of it. They wouldn't do the maintenance work. And Emily Larson, the mayor at the time, I don't know this for a fact, but I believe her intention was to make sure that golf course went under so she could turn all that into housing. That was her big plan. So the one thing she accomplished when she was mayor is destroying that golf course.
Yeah. And no one's maintained it, so it's a field now.
Back. Yeah, it's not horrible, but it's doesn't take long.
It'll take some time to rebuild it, but
right. Okay. Well, let's go on. What else we got? What's on my ballot? So we've got an election coming up next Tuesday. A bunch of at-large candidates. Do we have 5 actually? I thought. Oh, write-in. So we've got Jordan Johnson, Therese Tomanek, Derek Medved, and Asher Eston Hare, who Ashton came on and did an interview. So if you haven't seen it, please go look at that. You can see what he has to say about things. Therese is a incumbent. Derek has been on it before, and then he stepped away and he's running again. And then we have write-in. So this is the 5th candidate. So you can always write somebody in if you want.
Yeah.
Write-in Dave.
I can't. I don't live in the city limits, so.
It's a write-in. Anybody can run.
I suppose.
Oh, it's nonpartisan. I'm sorry. If it was Democrat, you could run.
Yes. Yeah.
On District 2, which is my district, we have Diane DeSettle and Christopher Adetti. And I'm probably butchering their names, but you can read how they write them. These are all nonpartisan, by the way. Nonpartisan being they're heavily democratically been heavily endorsed by the Democratic Party, most of them, if not all of them.
Right. And if you don't know this is a sample ballot for District 2, but you can go to the state website for the Secretary of State, Right on the front page, it says sample ballot. Click that link, put in your address, and it'll tell you exactly who is going to be on your ballot and what question is available to you. So you can, if you do that now, you can research it, research the people, research everything. So by the time you get to the voting booth, you have an educated guess of what you want to do. So
right. I was going to say there's some people missing off this ballot so I didn't know it was just District 2. We'll put a link to this in our comments when we post this video, probably tomorrow. But yeah, definitely repeat what Dave just said. Investigate the people that you're voting for. Don't just vote for them because they've been endorsed by party number one. They usually get endorsed by people that want them in for a specific reason that doesn't necessarily align with your values.
yeah,
Make sure that the person seems qualified. That is one of the biggest problems with this political process is people just decide, I'm going to vote. Doesn't matter. I'll just pick a one at random or the one I like their name best. It's not the way to do it.
no, especially with the budgeting and the housing problems, you should be investigating someone that's probably owned a business that had to create a payroll and someone that's used to dealing with budgets.
Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it?
I mean, that's a good qualifier there to see if they're, up for the job.
Yeah, maybe look at their current employment background and see if they're benefiting from any of the policies that are getting pushed through, like added housing or BlackRock buying in Minnesota Power or, Minnesota Power putting all these things through. Look and see who's working. Maybe there's somebody working for that company, and maybe you're going to know how they're going to vote because they will vote that way every time, regardless of what you think they're going to be doing because they've been endorsed by whatever party.
Right.
All right. Shall we move on to Timmy?
Yeah, he's good for a laugh.
Big Tim Walz. What's your name for him, Dave?
Oh, Tampon Tim?
There we go. So I'm going to start out with some good news from Tim. Like I said, I don't always have bad things to say about Tim Walz. Nobody can do things bad all the time. And if you're only finding bad things about somebody, you're not looking hard enough. Tim has finally, after 7 years in office, 6 years in office, decided that we need, after almost $1 billion in fraud the last couple of years, he's ordering a third-party audit. He's finally come to the table and said, we need an audit. Can you believe it? Now, it's about this Medicaid building at DHF, but still, this is unprecedented. People have been hammering this guy for 3 years solid about talking about fraud, especially in the Department of Education, the Department of Health and Human Services. And he's just ignored it, saying there's no problem. Well, now he's finally come around. So kudos to him for actually ordering this. Let's do it. I don't know how he has the power to order it because the Minnesota House couldn't pass a bill to get a independent auditor, but apparently the king gets to do what he wants. So and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I really think it needs to happen. I think it needs to be a real honest to God third party too, not some Democrat backed organization that's only going to find fraud for, Republicans or conservative.
Yeah, I mean, it must be coming up on election time where he's finally doing things to, for the public. So he has the public has a better picture of him. He announces he wants to run for the third term. So that's a big effect on it. So
yeah, correct. Everything he'll do is to just try to get votes.
Yeah.
You see that video of him driving around an old, 1972 Ford pickup truck. Oh, sure. I'm sure Tim drives around in that pickup truck, or he's not driven around in some Cadillac SUV. No, that's the way Tim Walz is.
Yeah, kind of like Nancy Pelosi. She hasn't touched a doorknob in 25 years. You expect me to open that door by myself?
Yeah. Why are you wearing a party dress? What is it? It's after 6. What am I, a farmer? Another thing that actually is good, Tim Walz has allocated $4 million emergency funds to the food shelves because they're, we've got this, the Congress is not coming back. We have a shutdown right now because the Democrats won't come in and vote to restart the government. And if anybody's confused about that, you need 60 votes to do it. Every one of the Republicans has voted, 13 times now to reopen the government, and they can't get the 5 to 7 votes they need from the Democrats to reopen it. They're doing this on purpose because they want to have leverage. They want people to be angry and to misallocate the fury at Donald Trump. And what they're holding out for is things like they want PBS to be funded. They want illegal aliens to be able to be given health care. What else do they want, Dave? You remember?
The big one was the illegals getting health care.
Right.
That was the main.
Oh, and they want to fund abortions overseas and propaganda overseas. So those are the things that they find more important than people getting SNAP benefits. Now that opens up a whole different can of worms, because I'm finding out more about these SNAP benefits. They said that 44 million people in the United States are on SNAP. We have a population of theoretically around 330 million. 44 million is over 10%. It's more like 13% of the population is getting money. This is basically your universal income, your universal basic income. That's what this is. They get housing, they get food, and then unbelievably, they post videos on TikTok and Instagram where they're laughing basically about how much food they get, and what they're spending on is absolute garbage. And it's all WIC approved, SNAP approved.
Yeah.
So we've got a big problem coming up, but the funding dries up tomorrow. So starting November 1st, they won't have new money allocated to their SNAP benefits. That doesn't mean, now I could be wrong on this, but this is what you educated me on, Dave. They don't lose the SNAP benefits they already have. So if they have money built up in that account, they can still spend it going forward.
If they saved it.
If they saved any money, right.
In which
I don't know how any of that works.
Well, they basically, for what I understand or what I read, is they basically give you a savings account in a debit card. So they put money in this account, and then as you spend money or buy your grocery stores, go to the grocery store and buy food, they slowly take it out. Okay. So tomorrow, November 1st, it doesn't mean that this savings account that you built up goes away. Right. They're just not going to add to it anymore. Right. So if you had money in there, that doesn't change. It's going to stay the same. You can still go
pick up food, pay for it with that SNAP benefit, and then leave.
Which doesn't mean you burn your money the second you get it. That's not what it means. It's
right.
But that's why they're poor. They're poor because they don't understand how to save money for 2 seconds is the problem.
But realize the fact that we work every day to feed 44 million people. And this should be a cautionary tale to those people that when the government is the supplier of your food, when you're reliant on the government for food, they can take it away when they want.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind when you're looking at these SNAP benefits and everything. Now, Walz has designated $4 million to the food shelves. I don't know how he has the authority to do it, but he must have the authority to do it. How much do you think it would have been if we'd had that extra $1 billion that they wasted giving it to special interest fraudsters who took our money? The $300 million feeding our future, $250 million for another one. I mean, it added up to about $1 billion. That money could have been used for something like this, but no, we don't have that anymore. What is this? I do my own stunts.
Yeah, right. I can't even kill it.
Hit the close button. Anyway, so it seems like the governor acting like a king almost. I shall allocate out of the budget $3 million to the food shelf. Now, I don't want anybody to be going hungry that actually needs it. It seems to me that when you're looking at those grocery carts of the things that the people are buying with SNAP benefits and WIC, it's garbage. I mean, a lot of it is like, Coke and Sprite and very high sugar content things and cereals that are high. It should be meats, rice, potatoes, flour, things that you can make food from as opposed to highly processed foods.
Well, and there are many, I would say a majority of the states that do it that way. Minnesota is not one of them because we're a blue state where you can just go buy anything you want. But a lot of states, mostly with Republican governors, so you can, in those states you can't buy processed foods. You can't buy a box of M&Ms. You can't buy pop.
Right.
At 12. So some places have got it figured out where you're only buying necessities the way you should be. But I mean, 43 million people in the U.S.
43 million.
That's the question people should be asking: is why are there so many people?
And where does it stop? I mean,
Right.
Over 10% is a huge number. And a lot of the people that I've seen on TikTok yelling about their food stamp or the SNAP running out, they certainly look able-bodied to me. They look like they could be working if they had to.
Yeah.
We didn't have this whole welfare state. It used to be 100 years ago, the churches would take care of people. And that was where the charity was. And then you gave to a church and the church took care of it. Well, FDR took care of all of that, took the power away from the churches, gave it to the government. And now you've got this horrible situation where we're in. And I feel sorry for the people that shouldn't go hungry. There should be food always. Soup kitchens might be a good idea. But the people living check to check that work for the federal government, why are the Democrats doing this to you? The Republicans have voted to open the government 13 times. The Democrats keep fighting it, and they're fighting for the wrong things. And that's where you should be focusing your anger on if you're angry at anybody. It's not Donald Trump. He can't do anything about it. It's Congress. They have to come in. They have to vote to open the government, and then they'll negotiate what they have to. I hope they don't budge on the illegal aliens being on any. In fact, no immigrant, regardless of their status, should be on any welfare from the United States. And if they are, they should go back home. That's not our job, is to put welfare out for the entire world. That's the way to make us bankrupt. If you think, as a viewer, you think we should be doing that, then you take your money and donate it to the charities that take care of them. Right. That's your right. Where your right stops is forcing me, if I don't want to send it. Just like I don't force you to give to a church if you don't go to church. That's the same thing, though. The taxation of this would be taking it away from you and giving it to a church, even if you don't agree with that. It's ridiculous.
Or like the government giving money to a certain political party. Would you be,
yes.
Are you against? Would you be against the state Minnesota state government giving, $1 billion to the Republican Party?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You'd throw, there'd be protests all day long. It's the same thing. You control your money. It shouldn't be the government's responsibility to control your money.
Exactly. And as people lose sight of that because they keep going towards socialism, thinking, well, I don't have a lot of money, so I'm going to take their money. Well, those people with their money are going to go somewhere else. And then you're just going to be a poor person that has no money and no access to anything. Everybody thinks socialism is good until the refrigerator is empty. And
that's where we're stuck right now, is you're relying on the government for food. Well, guess what? They can starve you out now. What if both sides intentionally wanted to starve you out?
Mm-hmm.
You're done. You're done for, because you
have no skills, you have no job, you have no savings. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a helpless situation, but they love to have you in that position because then they can control you.
And it's just like that Mondami, who's running for New York mayor. Yeah. He wants state-run, city-run grocery stores.
Yes, they've tried that in many communist countries.
Yeah, and that's the first step to communism, is socialism. And he already admits he's a Democrat socialist. So if you rely on that grocery store, then all of a sudden he can decide, well, you either vote me in next time or I'm shutting down these grocery stores.
The worst
And you
part
can
is,
starve
though,
to death.
when this happens to a country, you can contain that country. The people that voted for it live with it. In New York, they can vote for him, feel good, and then go to their New Hampshire house, because the rich liberal women are going to be voting for him. They don't have to live there. They don't have to deal with the consequences, and everybody can just leave. So there's very little consequence happening here. You don't feel the excruciating pain of a country doing this because you're trapped there in that country. They're not trapped in New York, and maybe they should be.
No, you want to see an exodus. If he
Oh,
gets
yeah.
elected, he's going to raise a tax on the people that provide jobs. There's going to be no rich people in New York.
God help you if you haven't sold your house yet and you're,
Yep.
have any kind of wealth in New York, because it's going to get taken from you. It's going to be repurposed, which
Yep.
means they're going to take it. That's called seizure of your assets. So if he wins, it's going to be a wild ride there.
Yep.
Let's
It's
talk
gonna be
about,
bad.
so what are the big problems in Minnesota? Fraud, we talked about. Corruption. Lack of leadership, we haven't talked about that, but I'm going to identify that as a second thing. And number 3 is incompetence. Now let's talk about Tim Walz.
Yeah.
His statement was, for every dollar invested in SNAP, it generates $1.80 in economic activity. Every dollar invested generates $1.80 in economic activity. He has discovered a perpetual motion machine. That's a great picture of him, by the way.
Yeah.
And there's his direct tweet. And it goes into more disinformation. It's not about the money. Trump just wants Americans to go hungry. Trump can't open the government. He's not a king. I thought we established that. So apparently what we need to do is invest, what are we, $37 trillion in debt?
Something like that. Yeah. Something ridiculous.
37. So what if we invest $30 trillion in SNAP? We'll pay off the debt plus have a lot of money left over. According to Tim Walz, that's the way it works.
Right.
Incompetence. So fraud, lack of leadership, and incompetence. Those are your 3 big problems in Minnesota right now. And we've got them in spades. We got them here in Duluth for our representatives. We got them at the governorship. We got them in the Supreme Court. We got a big problem here.
Right. Yeah, you'll notice that we're not going to be doing any Minnesota legislative news today because, well, our legislature, our Duluth News Tribune representatives, Johnson and Klosowski, well, they don't do anything. So
no, if you're following Natalie Zalesnikar or Carl Juarez, they're constantly doing things.
Yep.
But that's, I kind of like, boy, I wish I lived. You're lucky. You live in Hermantown. Natalie's your rep. Yep. You actually get representation.
She's actually doing something. That's why we're not doing any legislative news, because our Duluth don't have any. They're doing anything.
I want to bring up one more thing, and it's not Tim Walz necessarily. It's Tim Walz adjacent. 2 things about this story. The sergeant in, I believe, the Army tried to give classified information to China. He got 4 years, citing mental health. This is ridiculous. This guy is a traitor to the country. He tried to give information, secrets to a hostile government. I won't call them an enemy because they're not an enemy, but they're hostile to us and they're a competitor to us. And he only got 4 years. The reason I bring this up is because this guy sounds like Walz to me. He's in the military. He lived in China. They, completely brainwashed him and he gave him secrets. And Tim Walz was in China for a while. And there's rumors or whispers that Tim Walz did the same thing, but there's no evidence of it. So I just thought that was a good Tim adjacent story.
Yeah. And Tim's been over there for what they said 30 plus times.
It's honeymoon there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, we won't go into those because they're not substantiated stories, but yikes. So I thought it was funny. All right, let's go into Minnesota news. AG Ellison sues the Trump administration for suspending SNAP benefits. So here's another one of our, what do we say? Fraud, incompetence, lack of leadership. Here's the incompetence thing coming up again. Ellison is suing Trump administration because he cut off the SNAP benefits because the government is shut down because Congress can't bring it back in. And this is our attorney general from Minnesota spending all his time working against the federal government as opposed to doing things for this state. I don't have anything else to say about him. He's everything I've ever come to expect from an idiot AG from Detroit.
Yeah, and I read a whole bunch of stories on it, and other than him calling Trump cruel, he didn't cite any actual laws. Nobody cited an actual law that here's why it's illegal for him to stop doing that.
Right.
It's like, so what are you suing for then? I mean,
he's
you need
suing so he can say that he did it on his campaign trail. That's why he's doing it.
Yeah. It's like, it's ridiculous.
Moving on to kind of the violent left thing, and it ties into the next story afterwards. A St. Paul man was arrested by the FBI for putting a contract out on Pam Bondi. You know, we're not talking about your best and brightest, but they did put a contract out on her. He offered $45,000 to take her out. So he has been nabbed by the FBI, and he's going to spend hopefully a long time in jail. But I don't know if he gets tried in Minnesota, he may get 4 years. Who knows?
Yeah, but maybe because he went after a federal agent, that it's a federal crime, and our federal people don't mess around like the Bloody Mary Moriarty does. You know,
the reason I wanted to bring up that story is because of the next one over, which is Omar Fateh, who is running for Minneapolis mayor, kind of along the same lines as New York's. He wants Minneapolis police to arrest federal agents who wear masks. So first of all, that's not going to go too well.
No.
Secondly, do you understand why they're wearing masks? It's because people like him try to dox these people and their families and their children, putting their whole families at risk because they're doing their job.
And this is after the Supreme Court said to California, they tried to do the same thing. And the Supreme Court said, no, they're federal workers. You don't control anything that they do. So It's already been, luckily this guy he's only running for office. He's not, he can't make this claim.
Right.
Therefore, it's good that, he can say anything he wants now because he can't do anything about it, which is a good thing.
I'm going to attribute Adam Carolla to this because he was talking about ICE, which stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. He said, these people hate it, but it may just be the name ICE. It's too cold sounding.
Yeah.
You got to call it the National Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Nice. So
yeah.
How silly would you look going, we want to take down NICE? It just doesn't roll off,
I want to bring one thing he said up. And he wanted people to sign a petition. And the petition also demands that Minnesota Police Department officers assist residents to immediately remove federal agents from the scene where residents are confronting federal law enforcement. Ooh. So they want when the Minneapolis police show up, they want them to help the residents get rid of ICE.
Yes, that will not go well either.
No.
Well, the other thing I want to mention is they stopped playing around as much. They're actually taking these people into custody and actually charging them now after 4 years or even longer of not doing a thing to them. They're actually getting arrested now and put in jail. They're facing consequences. And you can see it sometimes on their faces when they're arrested is, what's happening here? I don't understand. I'm actually being taken into custody. You can't scream in somebody's face and not expect something to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at the streets of Portland, where all the Antifa people were, it's nice and quiet and clean and empty.
They cleared out that camp.
They cleared it out. Now it's a safe neighborhood.
Yep.
Why are the Democrats so against safe neighborhoods? I don't get that.
I don't know. They're in one of two positions though. They're either in power or causing chaos. It's one of the two. Whenever they're not in power, they are creating so much havoc. They're almost a terrorist organization at this point. Mayor candidate Omar Fateh was waving a Somali flag. How did anybody tell the difference between the Somali flag and the Minnesota flag? Maybe you just thought he had the Minnesota flag.
Yeah,
they look practically the same. So there is the guy who is running for mayor. I hope to God he doesn't win, but if he does, they're going to get exactly what they deserve. Ted Cruz slammed him. Ted Israel First Cruz slammed him by extension the Democratic Party on X, saying the radicals in today's Democratic Party hate America and they don't bother to hide it. And I couldn't agree more with you, Ted.
Right.
And let's see. The last story is this is a good one, Dave. I like this one. Minneapolis school board director who doesn't believe in borders reportedly said she's at risk of being deported. I guess she's nervous about borders at some point. That she has to believe in some borders. Otherwise, it's just a matter of moving her logistically.
Well, it brings up another thing. If she's worried about deportation, that means she's not a legal citizen. Therefore, how did she make it onto the school board, especially as the director?
Right. Well, didn't we look at that last guy that he had $300,000 salary? He never got an education. He had many arrests, and he was an illegal alien, and he was on the school board.
I mean, at what point do people don't do their jobs to vet these people?
Look at the rest of that story too. She stated that she'd received a much better education in Mexico. She's on the school board.
Yeah.
And that she is not comfortable in neighborhoods that are predominantly white. That's racist.
Very racist.
You know, right? It's ridiculous. And they're reporting it this like this is a good thing. Maybe she should be deported if she or just self-deport. If she doesn't like it here, go.
Right.
You know, but
yeah,
you know,
if she doesn't like it, just leave.
I had a much better education in Mexico, and I'm not doing anything about it here in Minnesota. Top notch. So where does she fall? Fraud, incompetent, or lack of leadership? I'll give you the lack of leadership and the incompetent on her. I don't know about any fraud.
Right. Yeah, I heard another one running for school district, and she was all proud of how great the school district is doing. It's like you have reading proficiency under 50%, and you're proud of that?
Well, to be honest, she doesn't understand what under 50% means.
True. Yeah, that's 1 in 7. So.
Oh. All right. National news. I'm going to save that first story for later.
Okay.
Utah looks to launch state-approved digital ID focused on privacy and security. So here we go again. Privacy and security, digital ID. Trust me, when they get to the point where they can do digital ID and track you for everything you do on the internet, they will then start to squeeze that control over you. Anytime somebody does something for safety, more than likely it's going to turn out bad for you. You give up so many rights for safety, and you think it's a good thing at the time, and then it's not. You will neither have privacy or security, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And if you read the story, they always do the same thing. It's for children's safety.
What about the children? Think about the children, Dave.
You gotta. Then they couldn't look at porn sites, even though we're allowing trans shows.
Yes, but here's a book I picked up in the school library. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right. There's parents that have taken library books out of the kids' school library, elementary kids' school libraries, brought it up to the school council, started reading it, and the school council shut them down and got offended because it was inappropriate to say in front of a school board meeting. Yeah. And these are books that were in their kids' libraries. Same thing.
So does that mean we get to have like a a Playboy Playmate section, or a penthouse forum area?
Oh, Lord.
Because that's especially at grade school. I mean, it's the same thing.
Moving on. I'm not even going to let that one breathe. I'm just going to move on to the next thing.
Yeah,
You put the layoff tracker here, and I think it's just important to look at this. Just what's happening in the last month. Paramount will lay off roughly 2,000 workers. UPS announced layoffs of 48,000 employees, 14,000 in management, 34 in operational. Amazon, 14,000 job loss. General Motors, 200 salaried employees, mainly CAD engineers. Target's laying off 1,000 employees. I think those are mostly in its corporate office. And Sika plans to lose 1,500 jobs. Now, keep in mind, Amazon, I don't know about UPS, but Amazon in particular talked about how they can't find qualified U.S. workers. They need to import all these people from other countries to work because they can't find the qualified U.S. workers. Now they're turning around and laying off 14,000, probably because of AI taking over some of their jobs. But
yeah,
it doesn't say exactly what the reasoning is behind all this. But just look at it. Amazon's got more money than like the U.S. They get more than U.S. GDP, I think, and they don't have any reason to lay off these workers for money reasons. They're doing it because they're getting more efficient, because they want more money, not because they're losing too much money.
Right.
This isn't oh my God, we better start doing something or we're going to go bankrupt. They've got plenty of money. Trust me.
And isn't this what Elon Musk did when he bought Twitter, and when he buys companies is he goes through and gets rid of the people that aren't producing?
It's one thing when you got a takeover of a company. Like,
yeah.
I don't blame them for doing that. I mean, I think Elon Musk did a very good thing when he went into Twitter. If you ever watched some of the employees, like 6 months before he bought it, they did videos of what their day was like. And it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. These people are strolling in late. They have this cafeteria that's free food. They have free coffee. They had like ping pong tables. They would do like 10 minutes of work and then go lay down for a while. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
When you buy a company, you have 30 to 90 days. That's your grace period for getting rid of people. Then after that, you own the problem. So I don't blame him for doing it. I don't see any bad effects from Twitter because he did that. So he was right when he got down to that workforce. But these are ongoing, these are just companies that are doing this ongoing. This isn't a shakeup. This isn't a redistrict. They should have done this gradually with attrition as opposed to just slapping a bunch of people with layoffs.
Yeah, and like you said, I heard a lot about them blaming AI taking over the positions. So,
but they have a ton of immigrant workers and remote workers. Get rid of that. That's where you should be doing the cuts first.
Correct.
All right. California. I found this link and it was disturbing to me because I've seen this in, I think, South Africa, but I've never seen it here. Middle of the day, car pulls up, gunman gets out, steals a Rolex off of a former wrestler. Now, this didn't go too well for him, but the fact is, they have other video of other guys that he's riding his motorcycle. He comes up, he gets swarmed by about 7 cars. They take his bike, they take his stuff, and they're gone. This didn't used to happen in the United States. I've never seen this before. Now, this guy picked the wrong guy to go after, and he took him out. Didn't take him out, but he subdued him until the police showed up.
Yeah.
But my God, I mean, it's scary that this is happening nowadays. So put your head on. So I don't think Duluth has this problem, at least not yet.
No, but it's good to seize those so that these robbers know that you may lose.
Right. Badly.
Yeah. What if this old lady what if it was an old lady and she had a gun?
Oh yeah. Well, that's the beauty of the Second Amendment and being able to arm yourself is you have a shot at You have a shot at defending yourself. Where, go to England. Nothing. You have nothing.
Yeah, before you rob something, realize you might end up dead.
Right. And I've heard this argument that says, well, you're putting property over human life. You say you value property over human life. Hey, I don't know you, and you're trying to take something from me. I value my ham sandwich more than I value your life at that point when you're trying to take stuff from me.
Yeah.
Not literally, but you get the point. Try to get your self-importance out of the way here.
Right.
Let's go on to the next story, Dave, and I'm going to quiz you before we open it up, and then you can open up this link. The No Kings protest largely comprised of people from one demographic. What's your guess?
I would say over 70 white female.
Open up the article. Let's take a look.
I guess I don't get to see it.
Keep going down. I think it says down below this. Don't go too far.
There we go.
There we go. Good job, Dave. And I don't know how they expect people to take them seriously when they protest like this, but hats off to them. They got a lot of guts, not thinking that people are going to make them think they look stupid like this.
Yeah. What is the purpose behind the inflatables? Is there have you heard of a reason for that?
The only thing I've heard was that the theory that if they have these, they don't look as menacing. Like they don't look like they're trying to cause riots, so they won't get attacked by the police. Like the police just randomly go and attack them for no reason,
Mm.
I don't know. I just thought that was a fun little story, though.
Well, I don't care, if I was a police officer and you came up with, I don't care how if you swung at me, I don't care what you're wearing.
Exactly. It just is going to be a fun video to watch of somebody beating up Barney or something, I guess.
Yeah.
Putting them in custody. It's not very fun after they get put in custody, though. I saw one where they have these inflatable things where each one of them has a little venting hole. So the guy took his mace, stuck it in the hole, and sprayed it. That was not a happy dinosaur. After that,
No.
I don't know what happened.
That's good thinking.
Go on to the next thing. We talk about people talking about how now they're saying that Trump is weaponizing the Department of Justice and the government. Well, I want to give you a list of the Republicans that were arrested under Biden. Now, these are people arrested without, real charges against them. And you can see the list here. I'm not going to name everybody, but take a look at that. And now, if you're making the argument that Trump is weaponizing the government against you, look at what they did. This is just 4 years after the Trump administration. So please do a little research on some of these things because they're not doing anything unprecedented. Democrats set the precedent for 4 years. Now they don't like the consequences of it. The difference is that when Trump or the Department of Justice goes after somebody, they actually have charges based on actual laws, actual breaking of those laws, like Letitia James, I believe, is one of them.
Right.
There's backed up evidence of wrongdoing. That's what you need to go after the people. After that, we don't care. Go ahead, go after people if that's what it is.
Yeah, and so far the Trump administration has proved every single thing, every single charge that they brought. You talk about the New York AG. Well, they proved and even put it in front of a grand jury, and they convicted her. They indicted her. So
right. The next story I want to say is that back in the 40s, there was Japanese internment camps during World War II. And this is where I think people who are Democrats should start listening to what's being said and really do some critical thinking. The senator compared the ICE enforcement immigration law to World War II internment camps. So what he's doing is saying, taking people who are here illegally and deporting them is akin to taking U.S. citizens who are here of a nationality and putting them to camps. So the Democrat construct of building the internment camps, this Democrat is saying the ICE facilities are like the Democratic internment camps that were built. I don't blame any current Democrats for internment camps. And I think the internment camps were somewhat based on fear of Japanese people. I don't know why we want to get into this, but it was fear of that demographic. Plus, it was somewhat of to make them safer, because you could see a group of people getting together and going after Japanese people at that point in this country.
Right.
So it was, I think it was a 50-50, and I don't really have an opinion on how well it was run. I don't know that much about it, but anyway, it seems like the rhetoric from the left saying that these are internment camps, I think it's ridiculous. People, if they want to, can go back to their country and they won't be picked up. How about that? Go back to your country.
Yeah, they keep saying that the Republicans have have the bad rhetoric.
Right.
Well, and they need to reduce the heat in the kitchen because of this rhetoric. Well, we've showed 5,000 times that it's the left that's doing the threatening rhetoric. So
right. I'll go into this. I'm 50-50 about going into this next story, but I'm going to do it because I've been talking about this for a while. There's this pastor of the Christian faith talking about we need to deconstruct parts of the Christian faith, and we don't need to play the video for him, but we'll put a link to it. It seems like to me, and I've said this for years now, Dave, and back me up on this. It seems like people have infiltrated the Christian churches in order to cause change. We need to deconstruct the Bible, is what she says. It doesn't seem like, and I'm not somebody that gatekeeps the Christian faith. If somebody wants to call themselves Christian, I don't say, well, you've got to do this, this, and this to be a Christian.
right.
It seems like people have been put into positions of power to deconstruct the Christian church as opposed to deconstructing the Bible, which she says here. They're weakening it out. They're making it, it's anything goes in their view. I don't agree with it, but it seems like the Catholics had this problem. They have an ongoing problem with it, actually. I've seen Lutheran churches have this problem. It's kind of sad to have grown up with one set of rules from the Christian church and then see that people just come in and say, no, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, until you don't have any religion whatsoever. So I thought I'd bring it up.
But even, the example we talked about last week was the Pope putting a Muslim prayer room in the Vatican.
Yes.
That's admitting, there's other religions.
Well, they can admit
yours.
to it. Do they have to accommodate it in some of our institutions? That's the question.
Right.
I mean, I know there's Buddhists, there's Hindus, there's Muslims, there's Jewish people. There's lots of different faiths. I don't say any of them are wrong. A lot of them just go to the same place in the end. I mean, if you go up the line from Jewish to Muslim and Christian, they're all coming to the same person or the same God. But that doesn't mean that at a Christian church, we have to have a prayer room for Muslims. That doesn't mean at a synagogue, we have to have a cross. That doesn't mean at a mosque, we have to have, a kneeling tomb or something like that.
Or the Minneapolis doesn't have to have prayer whistles go off 5 times a day.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
That is just completely ridiculous. Let's move on. And I'm going to skip all the international news, Dave. We're just going to skip both those stories.
That's fine.
And we're going to drop down into health and fitness. We're already down to health and fitness in an hour and 4 minutes. Huh? Pretty good, huh? Bill Gates has decided that climate change isn't a biggest threat in the world, and it's not going to end people's lives. You've got to read this. I can't believe I'm reading this. This is Bill Gates saying, basically, let's not spend all of our time and energy and resources on something that's not going to kill us. Let's try to get rid of human suffering.
Correct.
I can't believe it. This is 180 on this guy. He's been spending the last good part of 15 to 20 years to get us to shut down everything and to eat bugs and no longer eat meat and, everything. And now he's done with it. I don't know what happened. I feel like I'm living in bizarro world. What happened, Dave?
I don't know. I was surprised to see this one myself. It's like the guy who's been, standing right next to Al Gore, screaming about the end of the world, and now he's not.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. And this is backing up what we've been saying for years is this isn't as big a threat as you said. So here's a funny thing. I was watching a James Bond movie, and it was The Man with the Golden Gun, 1972, I think, or 74. And one of the big plot points is that he's trying to recover this little device to solve the energy crisis. 74, let's say it's 74. He had to get this device to solve the energy crisis, even back then. And if you think about it, so say you're a 30-ish-year-old person with kids. It's been so for me, my grandparents and your grandparents had to live through this. This is back in the 70s. My grandparents were still alive and actively doing things. My grandparents, my parents, me, now you and your child have all lived through this. The end is coming because we're running out of energy and the ice caps are going to be gone and we're going to die from global warming.
Yep.
5 generations of Americans, over 50 years. And that's when the movie was made. And it was a well-known, just assumed fact that there was an energy crisis. They actually talk about when the oil is going to run out in the year 2000. So 5 generations of people, sooner or later, you're going to get the fact that this is a grift. Right. Al Gore is famously wealthy because of this. Barack Obama, who has pushed this, owns beachfront property on the East Coast and in Hawaii. You don't buy beachfront property if you actually think the oceans are going to rise and take it out, right?
Correct.
So this is amazing. Maybe this is going to be a domino effect. People are going to start waking up and think, maybe I don't need to live in misery my entire life in order to make sure it doesn't raise a 0.001 degree in the next 150 years. So
back in the 70s, we were told the world was getting colder, and we were going to all freeze to death because there's going to be no food because food doesn't grow when it's cold out.
Yeah, there's Time magazine articles that say
the
new ice age is coming, and then 20 years later, it's global warming will kill us all. Then they change it to climate change. Sooner or later, people are going to catch on to the grift. I hope. And I hope it's the young people that catch on to it so they don't keep getting suffrage from this because your energy prices are going up. You can't get the light bulbs you used to get because of this. Everything is more expensive because of this. So learn the grip.
Yeah, and the people that are, like you said, Al Gore, he's making just incredible amounts of money from it because he created a false problem that he had a solution to. So he's making money off of lying to you, basically. So
carbon offsets. You could see that coming a mile away when they started talking about it. You can buy carbon offsets. And what they were trying to get to, even as of last year, was to try to get you to a carbon a number so that you can spend this much carbon a year. And then you're cut off. You get you on electricity only. And then they can do that. You've spent this much carbon this year. If you want more, you can pay, but it's going to cost you a lot, or you can get it from somebody else. It's incredible scam.
Yeah. And that was one thing I forgot to do coming up to this, because I wanted to see if you could buy it on Amazon. But if you go into any nursery, any for floral nursery, not kid nursery, but a florist or a greenhouse, anything like that, you look up in the corner and they got a little machine there that you can buy that actually creates carbon. Why? Because that's what plants need to grow.
It's like electrolytes.
Yeah.
That's what the plants need.
The plants need electrolytes. So you have, on one hand, you've got people telling you that no more carbon.
Carbon's bad.
But you can go to Amazon, the store, and buy a carbon maker. It's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
It's craziness. So please wake up a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't need to live in misery so that other people can make a lot of money.
Right.
All right, let's go down to the word of the day. What's that?
And that's what it is people making money. So
yeah. Word of the day, socialism. I like this word. Well, I actually don't like the meaning of it, but I do like the word. A political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. Socialism is the first stage of the worldwide transition to communism. So the whole thought that everybody owns everything and nobody has just anything, it's the utopian society. It's been tried several times. It's never worked. It will never work. It will stifle competition. It will stifle creativity. Look what happened to Russia. It was a mess. Cuba, they're horrible. China is not communism. It's not socialism anymore. It's a dictatorship, whether you like it or not. They just put it under the little bright lights of socialism and communism. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
So if you want socialism, go look up that word and what it means. And that's what the Nazi Party was, which may be the word that gets us banned, by the way, Dave. We keep saying the word Nazi.
Yeah, because that might be next week's word.
Yes, we could do that.
Because the word of the day, we're trying to, because we've noticed that in all these protests that people are using these words, and we found by definition they're using them incorrectly.
Correct.
So last week was socialism, or fascism. Well, they were using that one wrong.
Right.
This weekend was socialism, because don't elect Madami from New York, don't elect Fateh from Minneapolis, because they're socialists.
Right.
This is what they want. Now, that's why it's our little PSA for the week.
Right. And on that, I think we're done for this week.
It covers a lot this week.
Turns out when I skip a lot of stories, we come in under time, which is good. All right. Well, if you found this interesting, for the people who stuck around for the whole thing, I thank you. I hope if you're watching this on replay, if you have comments, please give us a comment. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. The more we get of that, the more maybe they're going to show our videos. Because right now I did a short last week and it got 2 views on it. That's unheard of, because I've done other shorts and it's gotten 800 views within an hour. So
yeah.
Please like and subscribe. You like the videos that are posted, the live videos. That's great. They go off. I put them anonymous after a little bit, but regardless, I'm rambling now. Thank you for watching. Until next week, I am Sean.
I'm Dave.
And this has been Duluth Conservative. We'll see you next week.